Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up a ringside seat, get your sodas, your popcorn, your whiskey, get everything you need because your boys are tired.
Oh, yeah, it's been a week. It's been a week.
From Vegas to home to my bank account being drained by the casino and the WWE.
and don't forget all that money you spent in Dynamite and what, Rampage, right? You were at Rampage last week, weren't you?
Was that her name?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
sorry, that was a different club that we might have went to. AEW Rampage. That is no more. So we will not speak of that anymore.
Yeah. Vegas took my money, y'all. They say the house always wins, but
it depends on whose house you're playing in, right?
It is true.
So you play in the wrong house, you're guaranteed to lose some money. Some houses you ain't gonna get no comeback on. You're just gonna get whatever you put out.
Tis true. So obviously we got to cover what went down at WrestleMania 41 out in the great state of Nevada. Also, somebody needs to take Stone Cold's driver's license because
speaking of the house losing, I mean, yeah. There had to be a DUI involved with that. How many spots did he miss in that drive out there?
At least two.
Yeah, the whole world saw the one. I mean, when he crashed into the barricade. But if you got on social media, you would have saw he missed the entrance ramp to get onto the expressway in the first place. So, I mean, he had a bad night. Yeah, he had an off night, as they call it.
But let's get to our sponsor. Before we go anywhere, let's get to our sponsor.
This is what Stone Cold had on Sunday. So let us know.
So the sponsor this week is Kentucky Owl Bourbon Whiskey, product of the Bardstown Bourbon, Kentucky. But this is also known as the Wise Man's Bourbon.
There you go.
The Wise Man.
What a day.
So cheers to WrestleMania, sir.
Absolutely. Not like we haven't already cheers to this many, many times, but one more for the road.
Ooh, spicy.
Yep. Hot was correct. Yep.
Yep. All right, so today's title is called Press the Reset Button. You remember when we used to play old Nintendo way back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a reset button.
Yep, and you screwed up on the Mario level. Mm-hmm. There was no save back then.
Right before you lost, and you knew you were about to die and lose that last life.
You just hit that reset button.
You hurry up and hit that reset button. Yeah.
Yep, so John Cena's trying to hit that reset button.
Yeah, he said he's bringing it all to an end now. He's bringing an end to professional wrestling as we know it. And we're going to have to make up some new stuff as we go.
So I feel like if we're going to start talking about WrestleMania, we got to talk about John Cena. We got to talk about what went down, obviously. History making 17-time heavyweight champion. A cheers to that. We need cheers to John. Cheers to John. Good job, John. Happy 17-time world champion. Shenanigans.
Less than we expected.
But
still shenanigans.
And confusing shenanigans.
Yeah. But so if I think a lot of what we've been talking about this last, let's say, year, from last WrestleMania, the lead up to that, all the way up until now, a lot of it's been confusing, but it gets there. It eventually gets there. So I'm taking the stance of just sit back, enjoy it, and see it as it happens. The more, people like us, we try to dissect it or whatnot, the worse it gets when we're right and then we don't like it. So a lot of people predicted Cena to win the title. Then when it happened, they didn't like it. A couple months ago, a lot of people predicted Jey Uso to win the title. Then they started on the path to do it. Now they don't like it. So it seems like the more you try and dissect it, when you're actually right, then you're like, oh, I didn't want to be proved right. I wanted you to go some way to swerve me. So sometimes you gotta just let angles go and enjoy it for what it is, instead of saying, hey, I gotta break it down all the way to this, that, and the other, because you're leading yourself to disappointment one way or the other doing that.
Would you say that the match between John and Cody was a traditional John Cena match?
No, not a tradition. No, not by any means. I mean, his matches usually led into, the 5 moves of doom and just kind of a thing. But no, I feel like because Cena was wrestling as the heel, he got to bring a different perspective to it. I think he got to hit it from a different angle, and that might have made it a little bit different for him.
Do you think that John might have been sandbagging in that performance?
No, I don't see that. I mean, he did. So unlike other people, when you don't know what's going to happen or you don't agree with what's going to happen, that's usually where that leads up to, with the boo-boo face and all that. Honestly, I don't think John would do that because I think he respects the business too much. And I think he respects Cody too much. I mean, yeah, I get it, the TV angle and all that, but at the end of the day, I don't think he would do that to his friend, Cody. And I don't think he would do that to the WWE on the grandest stage of them all. I figure if it's going to be his last Mania, he probably gave it what they needed him to give.
So do you really feel that John really sees himself in the light of, I am a step behind now? Like, I've fallen off. I am not the John Cena of old. And as far as being able to go in the ring.
Probably. I mean, he wasn't that great in the ring in the first place, right? But
see, keep going.
Well, so I mean, let's look at it now. I mean, and and I always go back to this, so I'm going back to it again. Hogan in the 80s ain't what Hogan in the 90s was, right? NWO Hogan wasn't nowhere near Hulkamania, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin, what he used to do in WCW when he first got to WWE, he was nowhere near that in 2003 when he was calling it quits. And I mean, he was a shadow of it a couple WrestleManias ago in Dallas, but you got to understand what your capabilities are. If you want to go even further into the analogy, Michael Jordan in 1988 versus Michael Jordan in 1998, completely different basketball player, right? Michael Jordan of 88 was dunk all day, manhandle the ball, dominate the defense, blah, 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 all of that.
Okay.
And won 0 championships, right?
Okay.
It wasn't until the triangle offense came in and Jordan evolved his game into more of a, team player instead of just, I need to have the ball to make something happen. It wasn't until he adopted that he started winning championships. It wasn't until he adopted that he became the GOAT. Same thing happened with John Cena. It works in any analogy. You take it which way you need to.
Okay. So you're thinking that he's speaking truth, that he saw himself, that he's a step behind, that he's ready to ride off into the sunset because in 2015 he made that promise to the fans that as soon as I see myself looking a step behind, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. I call bullshit.
Okay.
I call bullshit.
Okay. Give me your argument.
I think he's fucking sandbagging.
Okay.
And yeah, we're going to be real on this podcast. We're going to be real on this one. I think he's sandbagging. I think that man can still go as hard as he wanted to go.
Okay.
But you know who don't want him to go hard in the paint? You know who want him to sit down? The fans. The fans have ruined John Cena of old. However, this new John Cena that has stood up, this new John Cena that has complained about this relationship with the fans, the new John Cena that we see, the I don't give a freak attitude John Cena.
Got to say freak because he's still PG.
He's still PG. That. Yeah. See, we're not
living to the gimmick. I appreciate the gimmick.
So for me, I think John can still go. I think John is sandbagging. I think John don't want to give it 100% anymore because the fans don't deserve 100% John Cena anymore. I also think that what's going on with John Cena and him selling his soul to The Rock, I call bullshit on that angle too. I call bullshit on it all. I call this is the John Cena that was always there. This is the John Cena that was always there, buried under all the niceness, all the make-a-wish crap, all of it. This is the John Cena. This is the John Cena that you said you saw on the WWE Divas show.
Yeah, Total Bellas.
The prick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's John Cena at his core.
So I got to push back on multiple levels here, right? The first one I'm going to start with is, so John Cena just recently turned 40. He's world heavyweight champion, just turned 47, right?
Yep.
I'm about 6 weeks away from also turning 47.
Yep.
I know for a fact there's not a single solitary damn thing that I could do equally as good as I could do 10 years ago physically. I know it for a fact. I've come to realize and I've accepted it. I can't run up the stairs like I used to. I can't lift the same weight I used to. I can't grapple. I can't run. I can't do anything the same way I used to 10 years ago. And there are no amount of working out that's gonna make that that's gonna get me back to that level. There's no exercise, there's no workout, there's no DDP yoga, there's nothing out there that's gonna get me to be who I was 10 years ago. Now I could either accept that and learn to adapt and play with what I got now, or I could pretend that that's not true and still try to play to the level I was 10 years ago and either run the risk of hurting myself or ending my career prematurely, right?
Right.
So that's point one. Point two, the John Cena that's presenting in front of the crowd, I do believe that's the John Cena that we saw on Total Bellas. I do believe that's to his core who he is, but I disagree with the whole Make-A-Wish thing, right? Regardless of what company agenda you're pushing and all that, many wrestlers previous to John had pushed back on doing those appearances. They flat out said, "Hey, I ain't got time, brother," or you got me running, or I got to go to the spaceship. I don't have time to go, visit. Look, all other wrestlers gave other, reasons, and that's the reason none of them got to the number that John got. And John's probably, I think they said he's done the most Make-A-Wishes of any athlete since that program started, right? I feel like at his core, that's important to him because I feel like he knows that would make a sick child's day.
Right.
And I feel like even though it was an inconvenience to him and he probably, it probably wasn't the most exciting thing to do in his world, I feel like that was important to him to do for the same reasons John, much like me, said he doesn't have kids because, he felt like he couldn't give 100% to raising a child. So he doesn't want to do it and then only be able to give 50% and be a 50% dad. He wants to be all or nothing.
See, you're lifting the curtain too far.
No. You just said we're going to be real on this podcast and we're going to tell truth. So I'm going to tell the full truth and nothing but the truth.
All right.
So help me God.
All right. So now I got to drop the gimmick. Now we got to drop the gimmick.
Okay.
So I 100% agree with what you're saying. But here's the thing. This John Cena heel turn. If they really wanted the crowd to boo him, they're failing. They're failing.
So I got a way they could do it.
There's tons of ways that they can do it, but they are failing tremendously.
Yeah.
With them boom, because I'm gonna tell you something right now. The biggest John Cena fan that there ever was is not me.
Me neither.
I never was into John Cena, right?
Me neither. They had too many alternatives during John's time, whereas Hogan was a focal point.
Right.
John Cena, there were so many alternatives, it was easy to look another way.
So the Hogan reference right there, that's the reason why I was never the biggest John Cena fan, right? Because there was too many parallels to Hogan. It's the morally good guy.
See, and I never saw that. I never saw the parallels in there.
Oh,
because I was such a Hogan fan, I never saw the parallel. I know I saw where they tried.
Right.
But I never saw where they were, I don't know, on the same level. I just never saw.
So the thing is, though, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan.
Right.
However, right now, I'm marking out completely for John Cena.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely into it. I'm definitely into it.
I'm so into it because it's so different from anything else he's ever done. It's given him a new life in my eyes. I mean, and granted, yeah, Hogan turned heel with the NWO, right? This is different. This is way different. This is John Cena saying he's pushing the reset button on professional wrestling. He said he was going to take that damn belt home. That's all the way from Bruno to him being the last real WWE champion. He said, after that, I'm taking it home. I'm going to retire, and you guys are going to have to just come up with a new belt.
Strangely enough, that coincided with the official retirement of the Universal title belt that we've talked about. As we brought up before, they never really retired it. It was just kind of hanging around and all that. Well, the day he won the title is the following day they quietly resigned the Universal title, which I think that may not be the end of that title as we know it.
So here's some cool little things that they're doing with Cena that I'm actually enjoying. Okay, first thing that I'm loving is his WrestleMania entrance carried over to Monday Night Raw.
Yep. I think that's a sticking point now.
That is, to me, creatively, that's beautiful because John has always been the Skittles wrestler.
Yeah.
Like every color of the rainbow is in the hustle, loyalty, respect, everything. But for him just to come out in the black, basic background, white font with his name, and then that's it. Granted, same music. Cool. Keep the music because he said that's me. Why would I get rid of it? Cool. I like it. But one thing that I loved is what they did on Monday night when he brought up the topic of the appearances and they had that countdown in the back. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's genius.
Yeah, that's cool because now he's telling you you're on borrowed time.
You're on borrowed time.
This is all you got.
As Rock would say, goosebumps.
Exactly. You enjoy it because you're on borrowed time. And I hope he does it every single time he pops up. If he's at a house show, and I hope it subtracts by one. I hope they track it the correct way.
I hope he comes out on a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown, just comes out there, grabs the microphone, points to the back, watch it tick down, mic drop the mic, and then walk out.
Now those are the kind of ways that you get him to be a heel. Now another thing he could do to be a heel, pair him up with Nikki Bella. I mean, you want to talk about piss people off? Oh my God! Because so think about it, right? She's on her way back anyway. Enough people saw the show, or they could get people to go back and watch. He just bring her back to like kind of be her second, and he just treats her like he did on the damn show. I mean, the kind of snide stuff he would say, or the way he would just talk to people. Hell, let him do that to her on camera. I mean, we don't have to make it a thing. She don't have to run with him. Just a few times here and there. Let her come out and, she's quote unquote single now. He's not, and we know that, but she is. So you can play into it a little bit. Let her come out there. Oh, John, I want you back, blah, 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 do all this stuff. And let John just sit there and berate her like he used to do on the show when she was in love with him. Follow with it. Just, John say, well, I didn't appreciate how you kept house. You were a slob, or I didn't like this, or I didn't. Just let him just, bitch her out for a couple. What's going to get, you got to find a way to get people to boo this guy. Right. And Nikki Bella back then, that wouldn't have worked because people were booing the hell out of her. But now that she's back and she's kind of a legend, she's been gone, she could get that sympathy and put more heat on him. Now, will they ever do it? Hell no. This ain't the time of the world to be doing berating women type angles and whatnot. But it would definitely work. It's definitely a gimme that would get the heat that they want. It just might not get the heat that he wants after wrestling. So
I see the payout. I see what's happening. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. According to John, at the end of Raw, we had 26, 27 remaining dates.
27.
27, yeah. So I see what they're doing. Okay, so Randy attacks him. So obviously we're getting Randy Orton and John Cena.
I'll take that.
Cool.
I'll take that every day.
But here's where I'm going to get to where I was going eventually, but I want to take a moment to mention this too. If he's really lost a step, how many times have Randy Orton beat him back in the day?
No, they probably went back and forth. I would say they split even, say somewhere
50-50?
Near that. Yeah.
Okay. So if he truly has lost a step, you're going to have to see him struggle against Randy Orton.
I don't think that'll be hard.
Okay. But also, somebody's going to have to intervene, whether it's Travis Scott or whether it's somebody else, because to me, if it's truly the Cena that's lost a step, he can't win clean anymore.
No.
Everything's going to have to be a heel finish.
Yeah, he's NWO Hogan now.
He'll never cheat on everything.
He'll never win clean again until that last match. That last match, however they decide to go out, that'll be the only clean thing we get. But yeah, absolutely not. He can't go over clean.
All right. So obviously, if we're going to get the summer of Cena, if that's what we're getting here, we're going to see him play the greatest hits with his greatest people, right? Yep. You're going to get a Randy Orton match.
Yep.
You're probably going to get a CM Punk match.
Yep.
I would almost guarantee you might even get a Roman match somewhere in there, right?
I'm thinking it too.
Okay, so obviously
he's never beat Roman, so I feel like Roman's on a hell of a losing streak lately. So what better time to get one over on him on the way out? Why not?
All of these wins that he's going to take, all of the W's are going to come by some kind of a funky finish, some kind of cheat to win. All of this, right? So I honestly believe we're going to watch this ticker go down to where it's one appearance left. I'm wondering if they're going to try to build this one appearance, as in like Cena's really going to retire with our title. Who's going to come in and save the day? Who's going to be our hero? Who's going to be WWE Superman that's going to come in and take our belt away from Lex Luthor so he doesn't go home with our belt? I really hope they play it out to where it's an unknown. And if Cena's real last appearance is going to be in December somewhere at Madison Square Garden, right? And they play this out and it's a, hey, open challenge. Who's going to step up and take this from me before I take it home? Last appearance. Last time is now. Who's it going to be? Here's where the Cody Crybaby comes in. Last appearance, unannounced. It's Cody. Cody comes in on that last shot.
Okay.
Cody comes in on that last shot and takes the belt back.
Yeah. No.
Kind of see it?
No.
I
mean, I see the idea from it. I definitely see how you would get that assertion because, you figure that's the plan is for Cena to go over on Cody and then, let Cody be the hero that saves the company. I see that part of it. I just don't see them taking the title off Cena before he leaves. I see them letting him take the undisputed title off into the sunset and them creating a new title, that they want to develop and call it whatever they want. They can
press the reset button.
Exactly. That's what honest to God, that's what I see happening. Because if you notice now, that title for the longest has been the WWE title, and the other title was the world title. But since Cena won it, they're only referring to it as the undisputed title now, and they took away the universal connotation to it. So there's nothing to stop them from creating another WWE title if they're only going to refer to this as the undisputed title, because then you'll have your world champion and then you'll have your WWE champion. It's simple to do, and they could come up with a new belt design. I mean, this belt is the title that we have now is basically the only leftover Vince creation that we have. The big W belt and all that. All the other belts that we've gotten since then have had Triple H's creation with it. And I feel like there's no better belt to do that with than the WWE title. So I feel like they let Cena take it, let him quote unquote end the lineage, because all that was a McMahon lineage. That was all Vince McMahon Sr. led into Vince McMahon Jr. The only way to have a complete and total reset and wipe Vince away from it is to take the last bit of his creation, let Cena go with it, because Cena's the last true Vince guy. Let him go with it. Let him take the belt with it and get your fresh start.
All right, so let's talk about that for a minute. As an old head, as a long time fan, would I be okay with them doing that? Yeah, I'm going to be okay with them doing it because I'm the wrestling fan that ain't afraid. I'm not afraid for them to try new things. Like, I'm cool. Do I think the wrestling community is going to shit all over it if they do it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, so, and we're probably the worst to have this conversation because when they reintroduced the world title, we were the first ones to shit on the fact that it wasn't linked to the previous world title. So when they create a new WWE title and they say this is not linked to Bruno and Hulk and Bob Backlund and Superstar Bill, well, we're going to shit all over it too. But for today, in this moment, that's just what I think is going to happen. I'm not saying I'm here for it. I'm not saying that it's the best of ideas, but it's the truest of ideas, right?
Yep.
You don't lead into all this and give the belt to Cena if you're not going to see it all the way through. If you're only going to half-ass it, they could have stopped it right at WrestleMania and had him lose, and then he just could have pussyfooted his way through the rest of the 27 dates and been the good guy, and he could have sold a ton of T-shirts and posters and kiss babies and side hats and blah, blah, blah. But if you're really going to live into it, if you're really going to make it happen, the same way as WCW let Hogan spray paint NWO over their big gold belt, and that was iconic, let Cena take this belt. Let him go with it. Let him leave with that title, and that's it. You start anew, start fresh, start from brand new. And much like Triple H was saying all last week and leading into WrestleMania, internet critics, myself, yourself included, all the people that you just said are going to shit all over it, shut the F up and sit back and enjoy the ride, okay? So if that's what happens, yeah, that's 12 months away, right? Or 8 months away. Yeah, we're going to hate it in 8 months. I guarantee the first podcast we do, if they do that, we're going to shit on the idea. We're going to say, oh, it's horrible. What happened? Well, who's going to remember the lineage now and blah, blah. What the fuck ever, right? At the end of the day, whatever is going to happen, we're just going to sit and watch it either way. And you guys are too. So just sit back and watch it. Don't stress yourself out about it. The world is still going to spin the next morning, whether or not they retire the WWE title. It'll still happen. Or the undisputed title, let me correct.
All right. So there's one more key player that was happening in this storyline that just decided he didn't want to show up for work.
That wasn't his decision, from what I heard. Now I've heard it from inside sources. That wasn't his decision. That was a conglomerate of brains coming together that decided that.
All right, so everybody's out there pissed off at The Rock right now. So look, we got to put a couple things in check. First things first. Yeah, we're bookers. We like to do this.
Yeah,
this is our fun, right?
Uh-huh.
But at the end of the day, when we book something, you can't get mad if it don't happen.
No, that's the idea.
Right.
So, so all of the IWC listening, when you get it right, that is when you should get mad. When it's so damn right, when it's so damn predictable. This is why we all got tired of Vince.
Right.
Everybody now I know, hindsight is 20/20 and we all realize it now. But there were people like us and others saying it at the time. Everything Vince was doing was so damn by the book. You could see it coming a mile away. That's why it got stale. That's why it got boring. If everything we predict always comes true, then you don't have to watch on Friday night anymore. You don't have to watch on Monday morning. You just listen to us and we'll tell you what'll happen. And then it all pans its way out. And, you don't have to watch TV no more. Look, we can save y'all a ton of money on your Netflix subscription and your Peacock. And we can save you a ton of money on all that if we're always right about everything. Now, before we jump off of that, let's not get it twisted. The Bookers Alliance is probably the closest to right 90% of the time versus all the other podcasters and all the other bullshitters out there.
Was it Barry Horowitz?
I mean, yeah, you got to pat yourself on the back of it. And, but check the receipts.
That's right.
I don't charge my balance on something that I can't cash. Check the receipt. It went through, paid in full. But that doesn't mean that we're always going to be right, and that doesn't mean that we want to always be right. Unless they give us a job at the booking team. Now, when they put us on the booking team and then we still do this podcast, everything we say from that point will not be a promise. It will not be hearsay. It will not be a spoiler. It'll just be a fact. But until we start writing for them, then we're just guessing. Sometimes we're right. Sometimes we're wrong. It is what it is.
Yep. All right. So obviously The Rock didn't show. People were pissed. Look, you guys were superimposing him into this story. Could it have been done a little bit better? Yeah, it could have been. Could Travis
say finesse it
a little? Yeah. Could Travis Scott have walked his ass down that ramp a little bit faster?
I don't know why I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that. They should have brought him down there way early.
I mean, Stone Cold should have then put him on the back of that four-wheeler and drove him down.
No, because then he would have wrecked it. Then we would have lost Travis, and that would have been a hell of a lawsuit there. So.
But look, regarding everything else, whatever happened, okay. Look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Yeah, you can have an opinion on it, but don't let that opinion sour the rest of professional wrestling for you, because when Monday trolled around, Monday had a whole new different look and feel for some things.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different, a little bit more aggressive, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. A reset.
Reset.
We know WrestleMania restarts the season every year, right? Yep. Whatever happens on the John Cena thing, that's one particular spectrum of this whole thing we call wrestling. Everything else on the show is a full restart, and I'm here for it.
Yep. All right. So we've spent the first 30 minutes of this podcast talking about John Cena.
That's
Cody
what
Rhodes.
We almost went 45. I mean, we came in with the intent. Had Monday not happened, and then Pat McAfee and his show happened the following 2 days, this would have been 45 minutes on because we still haven't even talked about where does he go from here.
No.
That was our original working topic or title was where does Cena go from here? Well, hell. They splashed so much new stuff in after actual Mania that we had to pivot.
Yeah, well, it was pivot. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, first off, you got Gunther out here going rogue on Michael Cole and Pat.
I mean, he took out the announced team.
I mean, Jesus.
All out.
Also, welcome back, Rusev.
I was Rusev Day on Monday.
Rusev Day.
Rusev Day.
Welcome back,
Monday.
Rusev.
Absolutely. We got, I mean, you know, first of all, he looks great.
Looks great.
So he came back geared up.
Yep.
He looked healthy, which I find odd because he seemed to be injured for 5 years at AEW. But I mean, somehow or another, he seemed to be healthy, wealthy, and ready to go on Monday.
Just about spit my whiskey.
I know. I waited till you took the drink to say it. I tried to drag out that last sentence. I added like 2 extra words in there just for you to get the drink.
Oh, man.
So I could say it. I was waiting for it. I'm glad to know you're not a spitter, though. Kanye West would be proud.
He'd be proud.
Well, we won't get into that controversy. Yeah, y'all look that up somewhere else. We're not talking about that. Yuck.
So we had Rusev come back. Looks like he's carrying the Redeemer gimmick, even though the Redeemer name didn't pop up. But I'm thinking we're going to get the Redeemer gimmick to come with Rusev. Very cool. Love to see him run roughshod over a couple people.
Well, it looks like on the side, though, he also brought his beautiful, vivacious, hot, and sexy wife back to the company with, those were his words, not mine.
His words.
Just saying.
His words.
Disclaimer. But looks like he brought her back on a Legends deal. So that means she's there for whenever they need.
Yeah, she can be in the video games, the trading cards, all of that good stuff. But one match that happened, look, I understand the DQ finish. I didn't want the DQ finish. I understand it. But EO versus Stephanie Vaquer.
So, yeah, you can't go any other way but DQ, right?
Jesus. I mean, you can't have your
setting
NXT
a bad
champion
precedent either way.
You can't have your NXT women's champ beating your WWE women's champ. You can't have your WWE women's champ beating your NXT women's champ.
Yeah.
So, look, this match.
But it was good to see.
It was great.
So, I mean,
somewhere down the road.
I'll take the DQ for the fact that we got to experience the match because they popped out. They showed out good.
Somewhere down the road, this will be a classic that everyone will get a chance to enjoy with a real winner somewhere down the road.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, Julia and Rhea eyeing each other up. I found that very interesting.
Yeah.
I also found it interesting when Rhea got in the ring and looked over at Stephanie and said, "You can't do that to my friend."
Yeah.
What's that?
There's a lot of activity going on
there.
Side note, so in this conversation, but this should be a topic for a completely different show. Maybe we can even look at it for next week if we remember. But at this point now, the glasses are getting low, so I'm not guaranteeing we'll remember. We might have to listen back. But I mean, at this year's WrestleMania, out of 14 matches, the women had 4. With the talent that they've got in NXT and all the people that were left off the card, I wouldn't be surprised to see them start getting their own night in WrestleMania coming up here soon.
That would be awesome.
I don't know where they fit it in, be it like, in maybe like Stand and Deliver is what, Saturday afternoon? Mm-hmm. Maybe Sunday afternoon before the actual Mania, they do a women's WrestleMania day. They're getting it, but I digress. I don't want to go too far into it because I do think that's a full topic. But I just want to give them their props. All I heard coming out of Mania weekend, even leading into Monday, was that the women's matches were the stars of the show. All I've been hearing is the women's matches outshowed the men, and if they're at that point now, they're deserving of their own event. And it doesn't need to be the whole evolution thing with Ronda Rousey and all that nonsense. But if they get a slot at Mania where they get their own show, I'm right there for it. I'll sit there and watch every minute of it.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So you had Io, Bianca, Rhea at Mania. Fantastic match with Io coming out on top. Hard-hitting match. Very, very cool. Some of the sequences in that match was very well done. You had Charlotte versus Tiffany.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, just hard-hitting match.
Yep.
Were they off the reservation in some of that? Maybe, but
it never looked sloppy. It never got to the point where it looked out of control. Now, granted, it looked real. So, and let's be honest, a real fight does look sloppy, right? A real fight shouldn't be polished. It shouldn't be perfectly coerced, but they didn't look sloppy, but they did look loose, right? They did look like, hey, let's get out here. Let's have some fun. Let's do this thing. Yep. And if you catch a potato, hell, you catch a potato. It ain't ballet. So, I mean, Tiffany came out the worst for wear out of that match for sure, but turned out that she was the winner. So, hey, sometimes it happens that way.
We also had a returning Becky Lynch.
Wow.
Bailey, I'm sorry. That
Hopefully, well, at least now we don't have to go through the next 4 months of who attacked Bailey in the back nonsense, right?
Yeah.
At least we don't have to go through that because I think it's more than obvious who it was based on what happened on Monday. I think they just lead into it, let Bailey and Becky go and do their thing. I don't know if they've ever had a honest feud, like a true one-on-one feud.
I don't know that they've ever had, but I'm there for it if it happens.
Absolutely.
Yep.
What better way to compensate Becky or Bailey for not doing the Mania gig than to do a program with Becky Lynch coming out of it. I'm there for that.
Obviously, Becky turned heel on Lyra on Monday night. Rumors and speculation, as the Macho Man would say, that Becky's going to be the next Paul Heyman girl.
Okay,
that is the rumors.
I've heard that too. So I heard the whole reformation of the Dangerous Alliance conversation. I've heard that through the last couple days.
Let me correct some people though. People running around hollering, Becky's gonna be the first Paul Heyman girl.
That was Medusa.
Medusa.
Yeah,
y'all better not sleep on Medusa. Give her
1991
flowers.
Dangerous Alliance there.
Correct.
Yeah, that's definitely Medusa.
Correct. Medusa's. Paul Heyman
also sets the precedent though that he's good to have a woman in there and he knows how to use a female character.
Exactly. Look, Paul Heyman's taught Medusa everything in the heel realm. Without Paul Heyman, I don't know if Medusa ever does the trash can drop on the women's title.
Exactly. Because that was bold and brash, and that exemplified what ECW was. Right. When she did that in WCW, she probably should have done it in ECW anyway. But of course, we know ECW was being funded by WWF at that time, so that would have never happened.
Right. So the women's matches were great. All right.
We can't gloss over the whole Naomi and Jade.
True.
So we thought that was going to be a real quick, her get in and get out type thing because Jade wasn't going to be ready and all that. Hey, she showed me something. She showed that she can go in the ring with the right dance partner and that she's honed her skills a hell of a lot from when she first got there.
True.
So kudos to that great match they put on too.
Yep. All right. Within the last few minutes of the podcast, and I hate to cut this conversation short, but unfortunately, John Cena, we went just like John said. We went long. We went long.
It's like HBK used to do. HBK said, when the magic's flowing, you can't cut it short. So we're having this good of a conversation. You don't cut it off. You just live into it.
Triple threat match between Punk, Seth, Roman.
Yep.
Paul Heyman, you damn dirty old bastard.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Kanye West, what the hell was he doing at the end of that match there?
Look. You low blow and run. You ain't got a ring to do.
Right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you don't stick around. You don't hang around in there.
He was cranking.
Yeah, that literally. Yeah.
So look, we ain't gonna go into that. Just go back to Mania.
Go watch it. You'll see what we mean.
All right, but Paul turning on both Punk and Roman to align himself with Seth. Coming out of Mania, you kind of knew maybe something else was going to happen. It'd be around the corner. Get to Monday night, and all of a sudden you find out the dog, Ron Breakker, has aligned himself with Seth and Paul Heyman. Whew, that's a pairing. Yeah,
and good on WWE for on NXT. On Tuesday night, bringing back the footage of Paul talking to Braun Breaker, and at an NXT event back in 2023, telling him, "I could definitely see you main event in WrestleMania one day, kid. I see it in you." Because at this stage, I can almost see him and Roman next year at a WrestleMania main event. And what a hell of a main event that would be. But that's way too far in the future. We don't want to go that far. First things first, though, before we get out of that topic, I got to give you your flowers on that one because you called that Paul switch like a month ago. And as soon as you said it, I was like, I could see it, but I don't know if I'm going to like it. And when it happened, and he, like you said, he was in there ringing the dinner bell, I was like, ugh, I really don't like it now. This really went the wrong direction here. I hate it. But then when I saw what he did on Monday, and he brought, him and Seth came out there, which was expected, and then Braun Breaker got introduced as a member of the group, Oh, hell, sign me right on up. I'm like, oh, my goodness, give that man some power. Let it roll.
I noticed some things, though. I did notice some things.
Yeah, you noticed him bringing that bell in there.
No. I'm talking about Monday night.
Bad feelings.
Talking about Monday night. And again, let's let this one percolate. I'm gonna drop this one and run.
It's time for the percolators.
When Roman took out Seth.
Yeah.
Seth went falling through the ropes.
Yeah.
Did you see the look Paul gave Seth through the ropes? He looked at him and he's like, really?
Yeah,
I choose you, and this
now
is
you
what
leave.
happens?
And I think he did that with the bloodline too. You know, when his guys would get hurt or put out, and he would just kind of look at him, stud, like now what? You know what? And then he takes that slow look over to his adversary where he's like, oh God, you're gonna kill me. And of course, I'm thinking, well, somebody's gonna save Paul. No way, he's taking none of this activity. Even Paul got active in there.
He ate a Superman punch.
I said, hell, this is a new WWE now where the Walrus takes a Superman punch. But I'm thinking like, well, God, it's over now. He's just gonna send Paul home for the long haul. And then here comes Braun Breaker. Took Roman out of a spear into a spear. And I said, well, damn. Looking at those two physical specimens standing across from each other, that gave me the goosebumps for that moment. I was like, oh, hell. So give me all of it.
I'm giving you your Backlash main event right now. Your Backlash main event. You got Cena. You got Orton. You also got Punk, Roman versus Seth Braun.
Yeah. Yep.
That's your two Backlash main.
I see it at that point, and I see the group growing at Backlash in that main event.
Agreed.
No way they don't add another member at that stage.
All right.
Who that member could be? No clue.
Give me your guess.
No
Who's
clue.
it gonna be?
I got nobody. Gotta wrap it up. I got nobody.
All right, come on. Seth is Hunter. Paul is Flair. You got your big muscle guy in Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Who's your young boy? It's Evolution. Who's the young boy?
Yeah, I got nothing. Go ahead, wrap it. Braun Breaker's the young boy. Wrap it up.
We'll make you go,
ugh. Yeah, okay.
Austin Theory.
Ugh. God. Ugh. Gross. Absolutely not. Close this out. I'm done.
All right, everybody. That's the end of the podcast today. Press the reset button. WWE has pressed that button. Where we going from here? Who knows? But listen to your boys, the Bookers Alliance. We'll guide you the right way, take you where you need to go. Reach out on our social media platforms. Drop us a line. Tell us what you're thinking about this reset button. And with that, everybody, we bid you adieu.
Peace. Oh, what about Trick Willie? It don't always have to be white guys.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.